Vote Labour on the 6th of May, but fight hard for a socialist Labour. In the last 12 months, political life has been completely dominated by the COVID pandemic, and in Britain, as elsewhere, political leaders will be judged on their responses. Unfortunately, in many cases that judgment will be delayed. The more revelations are leaked, the thicker appears the miasma of corruption around the government. We have a Prime Minister who doesn't know the difference between truth and lies, and, if he does, his approach is always just to brazen it out. We have a system of secretive, non-competitive public contracting, and let us remember, it runs to tens of billions of pounds of public money. That is entirely based on the patronage of current Tory ministers, ex-Tory ministers, or top civil servants, all of whom have connections to business that are kept hidden under a veil of secrecy.
The Greensill scandal is just the tip of the iceberg. Dodgy contracts, privileged access, jobs for their mates. This is the return of Tory sleaze.
I do think it is a good idea in principle that top civil servants should be able to engage with business and should have experience of the private sector.
If Boris Johnson appears to be getting away with murder, the highest per capita death rate in Europe, tens of billions in dodgy contracts, an exorbitant test and trace system that has never worked, and so on, it is only because of the utter ineptitude of this Labour leadership. From the time of his election a year ago, Keir Starmer has attacked the left using the issue of anti-Semitism as a pretext, the sacking of Rebecca Long-Bailey, the unconstitutional suspension of Corbyn from the PLP, and the blizzard of suspensions of parties and individuals across the country have severely dented the morale of tens of thousands of Labour activists.
What do you think the best thing he's done over the last year, and what do you think maybe you'd like to have seen done a little different?
I would like us to have been much more assertive against the government on the corona crisis, because I think we haven't challenged them enough on the efficiency of the private sector track and trace. We haven't challenged them enough on the lack of transparency in the deals that have been done, and it took an awful lot of pressure initially from John McDonnell and John Ashworth in the early part of 2020 to make them even consider, the government that is, even consider a furlough scheme.
What many on the left have failed to understand is that the movement referred to as Corbynism really meant something, and it was not the personality of one man. It reflected a deep-seated longing for something different, for a new kind of politics, among millions of working people, in the first instance Labour members and supporters. Left Horizon supports the Labour Party despite Starmer and not because of him. We believe the shift in public opinion that brought the gale of fresh air into Labour politics from 2015 to 2019 was never going to be a one-off. Normal politics has been put on hold for a year, but the political weather forecast remains the same, or worse, as it was this time last year. So vote for Labour on the 6th of May.